students, today I shall be giving a presentation on improving the productivity and introduction to the work study. As you know that the productivity is very important for a nation, for our industry, for organizations, because productivity of organization or industry as a whole helps to increase the national economy and improve the standard of living of the community in general. Therefore, efforts are being made worldwide for increasing the productivity of the industry and of the economy in general. In today's presentation, I shall be covering the methods to improve the productivity, which are largely based on the reducing the excess work content while actual work is carried out and reducing the ineffective time. At the same time, I will also be introducing the work study and techniques related with work study and the basic steps which are used in work study. As I have said, the higher productivity of organizations leads to the national prosperity and the better standard of living. This has encouraged many researchers and organizations to work on the improving productivity, their productivity, and this improvement is carried out at different levels, because it helps to get the more output with the same use of the resources. Importance of the time in increasing the productivity and on use of the resources available for a given output will be covered, in keeping in mind the difference between the actual and the required inputs for raising the productivity in this presentation. The various approaches are used for increasing the productivity. One of them is the work study, while others are like development of the new processes, new technologies, and the establishing the infrastructure which can produce the large volume of the goods desired in short possible time and with a minimum wastage. Productivity of an industry is quantified largely in terms of the time required for producing a job. This time required for producing a job is quantified in terms of the work content. The work content which indicates the man hours or the machine hours required for producing that job, and the total work content in the job involves the basic work content and the excess work content. These are the two work contents which are carried by the product or the end results which are being achieved or which are obtained after the processing. So, the time required to do the job includes the basic work content, which is the minimum irreducible work content with the job, and this is the work content which is the minimum possible time required to carry out the job when the job is carried out in uninterrupted manner, and the design of the product is perfect and the manufacturing system is perfect. While excess work content is the extra work which is required to carry out the same job when the design of the product is inefficient and improper and the manufacturing system is inefficient. With the basic work content and excess work content, in both the cases some work is carried out and that too in uninterrupted manner. But in actual practice in the industry, work is interrupted due to various reasons which may be within the control of the organizations or beyond the control of the organizations, like natural disasters or the failure of the power may lead to the stoppage of the work forcefully, and sometimes the work is stopped due to the lack of initiatives from the management side. So, the interruptions in carrying out the job lead to formation of the ineffective time. So, ineffective time plus excess work content and the total work content, these lead to the time required for carrying out the job. So, basic work content is the minimum time required for carrying out a given job when the design of the product and the manufacturing system is perfect, and the excess work content is the added work which is to be done on the product when the design is imperfect and the manufacturing system is not good, and when work is not carried out leads to the ineffective time. So, efforts are mainly made first to reduce the ineffective time for reducing the time required to carry out a job, and subsequently efforts are made for reducing the excess work content. In the next slide you will see that what are the different methods which are used for reducing the ineffective time and the excess work contents. The problem of increasing the productivity in view of above basically targets reducing the excess work content and reducing the ineffective time. Here you can see the total time required for carrying out a job involves the total work content, which includes the basic work content and the excess work content. Excess work content due to the defect in design or specification of the product, and excess work content due to the inefficient method of operation and the manufacturing. While ineffective time is also required is also added with the total work content to find out the total time required to carry out the given job. This ineffective time may be due to the lack of initiatives from the management action, or ineffective time can also be caused by the lack of workers contribution. They do, when they do not do things seriously which are expected to be done by them, that leads to the ineffective time by the workers. So, attempts are first made to reduce the ineffective time being caused by the management and ineffective time being caused by the workers. Thereafter, efforts are made to improve the design of the product so that the added work content can be reduced, and manufacturing system is improved so that the time required for manufacturing can be reduced. And after elimination of all these 4 components, these 2 are the excess work content and these 2 are are related with the ineffective time. When all these 4 are eliminated or reduced, the total time required for carrying out a given job is reduced to the level of the basic work content, which is the minimum irreducible theoretical time required to carry out the job when it is carried out in uninterrupted manner. Excess work content caused by the imperfect design of the product can be reduced by various approaches. Product development and value analysis is one of them, which basically involves that the design of the product is made perfect so that it allows use of the most economical manufacturing process, and this becomes possible only if the production people and the design people work together in order to develop the design of the product in such a way that it permits the use of most efficient and economical manufacturing process. And for this it is required that the design and production people work together right from the beginning in the development stage of the product itself. And improving the design in product development stage itself helps to cut down the excess time required due to the use of low efficient manufacturing processes. And many times what happens that if the design has not been perfect, then after the manufacturing of some of the lots, it is found that the product is not able to meet the requirement of the customers and the specifications. That frequently leads to the rework or the repair of the already manufactured component, and all that extra time required for either producing those components was once again or repair or the time required for repair and rework of the already produced components leads to the ineffective time only. So, alteration in design can be alteration in design can be made for reduced material processing, which is not as per a specification, especially if the products are not able to meet the requirement of the customers. Another way of reducing the excess work content caused by the imperfect design is standardize and specialize the products which are being processed by an industry, or the reduce specialize and standardize the products which are being manufactured by an organization, because variety of the products if manufactured by an organization leads to the very large ineffective time due to the frequent change of the setting and the small batch sizes. So, to reducing the variety helps to increase the batch size, and increase in batch size helps to use the high volume production processes which can run for long without interruptions. So, standardization and specialization of the products or some of the products can lead to the reduced variety, increased batch size, and which in turn permits the use of the high volume production for reducing the excess work content due to the imperfect design. The poor quality standards, use of poor quality standards also lead to the excess work content, like if the quality standards which has been set are on the too high or on the too lower side, then in both the cases excess work content is required. Too higher side of the quality standards leads to the extra care and extra time required for achieving the higher standards, while on the lower side standards help lead to the rejections of the product by the customers and the frequent complaints from the customer sides. So, the proper quality standards are to be set, and those should be set after market and the customer consumers research, and as per needs of the product quality standards only the proper quality standards should be set. Product research helps to set the standards in such a way that it can perform for long as per the needs of the customers and give the desired performance. Excess work content caused by the inefficient manufacturing processes can be reduced by the proper process planning, which recommends the use of the most suitable machine for manufacturing the product and the most suitable parameters for which are to be used for manufacturing the product, and these are identified by the process planning function, and which helps to identify the various parameters to be used in the manufacturing stage, so that the rejections are minimum and the desired quality of the product is achieved. The proper maintenance of the machine helps to provide the services as desired, and the machine, if the machine is available as and when it is required, helps to reduce the scrap and the rejections of the product which are being manufactured by using that particular machine. So, if the organization having good maintenance and performing and maintenance function is doing good job properly, then it will provide the equipments and the systems as and when they are required in good condition, so that the rejections and scrap can be reduced. Reducing the excess work content due to the inefficient manufacturing can also be achieved by proper process planning and method study, which basically involves the factory layout is designed in such a way that unnecessary movement of the material and the worker can be reduced, and the desired goal of the manufacturing product can be achieved with the minimum movement and the use of the resources. So, if the layout is set properly, it will help to reduce the unnecessary movement of the man and material in course of the production. And developing the improved working method. The process planning in association with the method study helps to find out the best possible ways of the doing a given job. It helps to find out the what are the steps which are only to be used for producing a given job, how the equipment and the systems are to be designed so that worker can do the given job with the minimum effort and minimum fatigue, so that he can continue for long. So, the process planning in association with method study helps to develop the improved working method, which will help to produce the job quickly and with the minimum fatigue of the operator. Method study and the workers training. Method study helps to develop the effective the job which can be used to for producing a given job with the minimum effort and with the minimum time, and whatever the job has been developed after use of the method study, the proper training to the worker is required. So, the proper training to the workers on the improved new methods help to reduce the scrap, and so as to reduce the excess work content caused by the carelessness of the workers. Excess work content we have seen that is primarily caused by the inefficient manufacturing processes and the improper product design. In addition to the in addition to the excess work content, ineffective time is the another major factor that significantly affects the total time for producing a given job. We will see now the different methods and approaches which are used for reducing the ineffective time. Ineffective time, as you know, is caused by the lack of initiatives from the management side or inefficiency of the management, and the lack of actions from the workers side. If the ineffective time caused by the management's inefficiencies is to be reduced, then the various approaches are used. Like productivity of an organization largely depends on its marketing policy, because management decides that which type of the marketing policy is to be used. Organizations should focus on few specialized standardized product, so that the large batch sizes can be formed and high volume production processes can be used, so that excess work content due to the inefficient manufacturing can be reduced, or organization will go for variety of the product and the customized products of each and every customer, so that satisfy the demand of their customers. But in the case when the organization decides to go for all types of the customized products, then productivity becomes meaningless, because for each product the systems need a different setting. Workers are not able to gain the experience and speed on the specialized products. That is why they are always trying hit and trial, and which in turn results in poor productivity if the organization goes with the marketing policy of supplying all types of the customized products instead of the high volume specialized products. So, the productivity of that is why productivity of an organization largely depends on the marketing policy of the organization. a variety of the products will lead to the small batch sizes and less expertise of the worker. So that most of the time the systems will be idle due to the change of setting, or the speed of carrying out the job by the workers will also be low. Marketing policy, so this has been elaborated further. Marketing policy of the management may be like, should it go for a specialized or a standardized products, or should it go for variety of the products demanded by each customer. That will decide whether the small batch sizes will be produced or the large batch sizes will be produced. For proper product development before the commencement of the production, avoid the redesign and wastage of the product. This is the another major step which is to be taken by the management, that product is designed very properly in such a way that before starting the production on it, it is designed in such a way that it achieves it serves the requirement of the customers, and it is able to withstand the market competition, and that is possible only if the product has been developed properly by taking all the inputs from the various levels, from the customers, from the sales, and from the research departments. So, to avoid this will help if the product is designed properly by taking the inputs from the various levels, it will help to avoid the redesign and the related wastages caused by the scrap and the rework. The proper production planning helps to reduce the ineffective time due to the management's inefficiency, because production planning function helps to find out that the job is available to be done by the worker, and they are not idle, means man and machine systems are not kept idle. So, the process planning function, if working properly by using the proper inputs regarding the performance standards of the given job, then it can be effectively used to provide the jobs available to be done by the workers, and these standard of performance can be set by using the work measurement technique of the work study, so that it can be identified how much time it will take to produce a unit item. And these standards are found very helpful in proper production planning, and not only planning, that once the plan has been made, it is also used for controlling the production. The proper materials controls, like in manufacturing, the various types of the materials and the consumable items are used by the workers. So, it is the management's duty to provide those items available at the time when they are required. So, the raw materials and the tools and other items which are required in course of the production should be arranged by the materials department, and these should be purchased in such a way that the prices are reasonable, and well in time these are purchased, and at the same time efforts are made to reduce the inventories at the minimum possible level, so that unnecessary inventory cost can be reduced. So, the proper material control helps to make the raw materials required available when they are needed, and thereby reducing the ineffective time due to the management inefficiency or due to the lack of the raw material. The proper maintenance function also helps to reduce the ineffective time caused by the management, in the way that if the management is effective, its various components will be working effectively. Like maintenance, people will be working effectively to provide the systems available when they are required in good condition, and the system in good condition will help to produce the jobs of the desired quality standards, which can which can serve the requirements of the customers, and the working on the good systems also reduces the rejections and the scrap related with. The good working environment and training to the worker on safety also leads to the reduce the ineffective time, because poor working conditions force the workers to take frequent breaks, and which will lead to the idle time of the workers, and proper training of the workers on the safety will reduce the accidents and their absence from the job and the other related losses. So, the good working environment and proper training of the workers also help to reduce the ineffective time. Uh, the ineffective time is also caused by the workers' inefficiency. Normally, it is assumed that a worker having long experience can work at a given pace only. If he makes the attempt to increase or decrease the working pace intentionally, then he is more prone to commit the mistakes, and that is why it is assumed that a worker having long experience can work at a particular speed only unless he is given a special training to carry out the job. So, the kind of output which will be produced by the worker will largely depend upon how long he devotes to the actual work on which he is supposed to be. If he is engaged with the work, he will deliver the output, but if he is not engaging himself and he is idle due to the various reasons, such as talking to the fellow people or waiting for the time to be off, or wasting the time unnecessarily, then it will simply lead to the ineffective time being caused by the workers. So, the one way to reduce the ineffective time, there are various ways to reduce the ineffective time caused by the workers, such as the sound personal policy being offered by the management. This sound personal policy of the management helps to have the good relationship between the workers and the management. This relationship, improved relationship between the workers and the management leads to the wholehearted effort of the worker towards the job being assigned to him, and the training of the workers and the managers in such a way that they also consider the workers as a human being, their grievances are listened and they are addressed properly, and that training to the workers and the managers so that they can carry out the job carefully, so as to reduce the rejections and the scrap related with. Motivational strategies can also be used to motivate the workers, so that they most of the time engage themselves in carrying out the job to be done by them, and these motivational strategies may be in form of incentives or awareness or missions and vision, and sharing the vision and missions of the organization. Proper and work and rest schedules to the worker should also be assigned as per the needs of the work. Like if the heavy work is being done by the workers, so they should be allowed for a rest as per and this rest can be calculated by the various methods which are there in literature. The development of the proper conditions will also help to reduce the unnecessary stress on the workers, and they will be able to work with the in focused manner, so as to reduce the careless working of the workers and the accidents related with. The looking into the grievances of the workers and demands also motivate the workers for carrying out the desired job. How to increase the productivity, this aspect has been addressed in number of ways, and for increasing the productivity many methods have been developed, and three are there are three main methods about which we will be talking here first. These methods are like development of the new manufacturing processes and the technologies, so that operations can be done very effectively with the minimum rejection of the material and taking the minimum time. And the second method is modernizing the existing infrastructure or developing the high capacity, installing the high capacity machines. This will help to have the high quality, high speed machinery, which will help to produce the large quantity of the products of the high quality standards with the minimum number of rejections. And the third method is the work study. Work study is based on the improving the existing method and setting the performance standard, so that the common resources of the man, material and machine can be used effectively. However, these three methods are significantly different from each other, and about these various aspects related with the different three methods we will see in the next slide, which is in form of comparison. Like development of the new manufacturing process and technologies leads to takes very long time to develop such technologies, which can increase the productivity and reduce the rejections. And for developing such methods and technologies, large amount of the investment is required, and once if these have been developed, there is no limit on which up to which increase in productivity can be achieved. So, that time wise it may be 1 to 5 years, investment wise it may be in lakhs and crores, and the increase in productivity is also significant, but this needs this method needs a large investment in terms of the capital and the time. The second method of modernizing the existing infrastructure and installing the high capacity machines is basically based on the acquiring the technology and the equipments, which involves the purchase of the machines and the technology, and this will be requiring large investment, but if the high capacity systems have been purchased and installed and the new technologies have been purchased, then it will lead to the significant increase in productivity. And on the other hand, the work study is based on the better management, where the things which are being done for doing a given job uh, are investigated systematically, so that the existing method can be analyzed properly, and attempts are made for a better method and eliminating the deficiencies in existing method. At the same time, work is also carried out on developing the new layouts and the new designs for the equipments, so that the time required for carrying out the job can be reduced and the operator's fatigue can also be reduced. But many times it does not require much investment, and investment is either very limited or no investment, but increase in productivity is also not manifolds. It needs the continuous work and work to improve the ineffective time and the reduce the excess work content for increasing the productivity. So, the productivity in the forthcoming sections we will be talking largely about the work study, which is nowadays very extensively used for increasing the productivity, and it is very systematic in analyzing the existing way of doing the work and developing the new efficient and effective methods for carrying out the job, so that it needs the minimum resources in terms of the time, capital, materials, machines and the manpower. We will talk first about the evolution of the work study. The first work on the work study was started by the F.W. Taylor. He is considered as a founder of the modern method and the time study. He began his work on the time study in 1881, and he established that each job should have a standard time, and the time for each job should be determined by the proper time studies. And in the timing process, he advocated that the job should be broken into the small components or small elements, and then time is to be established for each element to find out the time for the job to be carried out, and this time was obtained for each elements individually, and their collective values were used to find out the total time to be allowed for a given task. Another the person who has worked significantly is Mr. Gilbreth. He is considered as a founder of the modern motion study technique, and this is defined as a study of the body motions used in performing an operation for the purpose of improving the operation, and it considers the movement of the different body parts while carrying out the job, so that the job can be improved either by eliminating unnecessary motions, simplifying the necessary motions required for carrying out the job, or and so as to establish the most favorable sequence of motions for achieving the maximum efficiency. So, it basically focuses on the motions of the body parts in such a way that it needs the minimum number of motions, and the motion sequence is such that the time required for carrying out the job is minimum and the efficiency is maximum. Another work of the Gilbreth is based on the micromotion study, which is micromotion study is based on the filming of the job to be studied, and then breaking of that job into the large number of the elements, and he suggested 18 turbolics which are the minor divisions of the work or the divisions of the movements or the group of the movements called turbolics. The Gilbreth also developed the cycle graph and chrono cycle graphs for analyzing the motion of the paths made by the operator during the work. In chrono cycle graph, for studying the motion of the body parts such as hand or the head, the light source is fitted, and using the stereoscopic cameras the movement is recorded to see the path of the motion of the worker or the body parts during the operation. And in the chrono cycle graph, the light source is interrupted at a particular frequency, so that the speed of the motions or acceleration and decelerations related retardations related with the motion of the body parts can be studied. The chronocycle graphs also helps to find out the direction of the movement of the path made by the different body parts. Consequently, with the chronocycle graph, it became possible to determine the direction, compute velocity, acceleration, deceleration, in addition to the studying of the path of the body parts motions. Work study is defined as the analysis of the job for purpose of finding out the preferred method of doing it and determining the standard time to perform the job by a given method. The work study basically involves the two aspects. One is analysis of the existing method of doing the job, so that the best method for carrying out the job can be developed after analyzing the existing method, and it uses the method study for study of the existing method and developing the new method, which is more effective and takes the less use of the resources. And the determining the standard time for carrying out the job by a given method is a part of work measurement, where the time required for carrying out the job is determined by the various techniques of the work measurement. So, the work study basically is a group of the techniques in which the method study and work study are the main techniques, and it involves the analysis of the job for the purpose of finding the preferred method of doing the job and setting the standard of performance. So, this is what I have said. Work study comprises two areas which are main: method study, which is also called motion study, and the time study, also called as work measurement. Work study as defined in ILO, that work study is a generic term for those techniques which are used in examination of the human work in all its contexts, and which lead to the systematic investigation of all the factors affecting the efficiency and economy of a given situation in order to effect the improvement. So, work study involves the group of techniques in which the method study and work measurement are main, and it involves the study of the human work in all its contexts, and the factors which affect the efficiency and economy of a given operation, and it is always kept in mind that how to improve the existing way of doing the work. And when the existing method of doing the job is analyzed properly by the method study and by the work study, work measurement, the time required for carrying out the different jobs are identified. Both these helps to increase the productivity, because method study helps to develop the improved and effective method, while the work measurement helps to identify the ineffective time and set the standard of performance. And the setting of the standard of performance helps to is used in the proper process planning and production planning, while the ineffective identification of the ineffective time provides the basis for carrying out the method study, and so as to improve the existing method of doing the given job. There are two techniques of the method work study. One is method study and another is work measurement. One by one we will go through the definitions of each of these two techniques of the work study. Method study is a technique of the systematic recording and critical examination of the existing and proposed method of doing the work for developing and applying easier and effective method and reducing the cost. So, basically method study targets the recording of the different events which are being carried out in existing method, analyzing them in such a way, analyzing them and examining them critically, so that the venues for improvement can be identified so as to develop the most efficient, effective method in such a way that it can be applied easily, and it helps to reduce the cost and the operator's fatigue also. On the other hand, work measurement is defined as a group of the techniques which are designed basically to establish the time for a qualified worker to carry out a specified job at a defined level of performance. In fact, the work measurement helps to find out the time required for carrying out the job by a qualified worker at a specified level of performance. At the same time, when work measurement is carried out, it reveals the ineffective time if it is there. So, a presence of ineffective time helps to identify the areas where method study can be carried out. Method study is mainly concerned with the reduction of the added work content, as I have said earlier that the added work content and the ineffective time both contribute to reduction in the productivity of carrying out the job, or if the added work content is reduced, ineffective time is reduced, productivity of the manufacturing system can be improved. So, method study if applied, it mainly targets the added work content of the job and helps to reduce it. It is mostly used to improve the method of doing the work or developing the new method, and which will help to reduce the unnecessary time and movements required for carrying out the job. For existing jobs, method study aims to find out the better method which is more economical and safe. After method study, it will help to develop the better methods which are economical and safe, requires less human effort and needs shorter and put away and make ready activities. On the other hand, work measurement is mostly concerned with the investigation and a reduction of ineffective time associated with the existing job, and a subsequently establishment of the time standard for the operation which has been improved by the method study. There is no hard and fast rule whether the method study or the work measurement is to be carried out first. It depends whether operation for a job has been perfected or not. There can be the both types of the situations where either the method study is carried out first or the work measurement is carried out first. Normally, for setting the standard of performance for a given job, method study is carried out first, so that improved method is there, and subsequently work measurement is carried out. If in other case, if the method study is to be carried out in a given situation and it is not very clear where it is to be applied, then work measurement is carried out first, which will reveal the presence of ineffective time, and those areas are targeted in the method study for the improvement. So, if the setting of the standard of performance is there, then work study is carried out first, followed by the work measurement. As far as relationship between the work study techniques on the productivity is concerned, as you can see, the work study has two main techniques. One is method study, which helps to simplify the job and develop more economical method of doing the given job. On the other hand, work measurement helps to find out how long it will take to manufacture the product. So, method study if carried out properly to develop the effective method and followed by the setting this standard of performance by the work measurement, this will help in proper production planning so as to achieve the higher productivity. when work study is applied, it results in many benefits, like the output is increased, and without a significant increase in cost, the quality of the product is improved. At the same time, higher productivity is also achieved. The work study and ergonomics, when both are used together, it helps to develop such kind of systems, equipments, and the working conditions which lead to the minimum effort and fatigue of the operator in carrying out the given job. Its basically objective is designing the work system in such a way that it can be used safely, and it causes less fatigue to the operator and takes less time to complete the job. There are many steps which are used in work study, and these are the 8 main steps. The one is the select the job. In a plant or an organization, there may be number of the jobs which needs attention, but which job is to be selected first for the work study, and that selection is to be done very carefully, and keeping in mind that the time and efforts being spent on the work study of a given job should deliver the results in terms of the economics or in terms of the productivity of the organization. So, the job should be selected in view of the economic importance of the job, and the record is the second step, important step in the work study, which involves the direct observation and the recording of the events which are being used to carry out the job. It should be done very systematically, so that all the events can be recorded properly in such a way that they can be analyzed easily while developing the new method. And examine the events which have been recorded by the direct observation critically. This critical examination of the recorded method helps to find out what is needed, what is to be eliminated, simplified, combined, or what is to be eliminated for improving the existing method and developing the new method. So, the critical examination of the events which have been recorded is very important step in the work study, and after examining the existing method critically, it will give the venues where improvement, where are the possibilities of the improvement, and using those possibilities new methods are developed in light of the prevailing conditions. Once the new method has been developed, it is quantified in terms of the work and the time involved for carrying out the job by the new method, and this is called fifth step, that is a measure, which involves basically the quantification of the work involved in selected method, and to set the standard of performance in terms of the time standard. Define is the next step, which which is basically identifying and describing each and every detail of the new method regarding the material, machines, parameters, and the standard time which is to be which is allowed for carrying out the job by the new method. And if these details are there, then it will help to identify the improved method easily. And once the things have been defined, these are installed in practice. So, new method is installed as a standard practice by allowing all the resources needed for carrying out the job by the new method, and maintenance is required because people will have the tendency to go back to the original method. That is why the newly installed method should be checked frequently to see that whether the new practice is being followed properly or not, and that is done by the maintenance component or the step of the work study. So, here you have seen in this presentation that there are various factors which adversely affect the productivity of the organization, like the added work content and the ineffective time, and the proper steps should be taken to reduce the added work content and the ineffective time. At the same time, I have introduced the work study technique, and there you have seen that there are two techniques, method study and the work measurement in work study. Method study is basically used for improving the existing method so that the job can be done quickly. On the other hand, work measurement is mainly used to set the standard of performance and identify the ineffective time if it is there. Thank you for your kind attention.